Welcome to Scorpio Soul Time. I'm Ronique, and I appreciate you joining me here where every lunation cycle we look at the planetary aspects of what's going on in astrology. And most of these videos are going to be centered around what is happening with the moon and the aspects that it is making, but we also will touch on what other planets are having an impact on us here on Earth. And many people often ask me, are these videos specifically for if you're a Leo or if you're a Cancer? And I say, look at these videos more as a astro weather report, if you will. So meaning like if you are here on Earth, then you will be impacted by anything that is going on in the astral plane, if you will. But remember, every single person on this earth has a different birth chart. And so if you want to find out how these specific energies are playing out for you, then it would be beneficial for you to go to anything like astrology.com or astrochart. You can get a lot of free birth charts online, and you can put in your birth date, your time and place of birth, like where in the world you were born. And this specific information will pull up basically the blueprint for you of where your planets fell on the specific time that you were born. So just look at this Scorpio Soul Time channel as a way for you to tap into the energies that are going on in our world. So thank you for joining me. As I said, I would appreciate it if you would hit the bell below so you would know when I publish new videos. And also feel free to reach out to me here on YouTube. You can leave a comment, and if you have any questions, you can definitely put it down in the comments below. So today we are going to talk about the third eclipse of our eclipse season. And it actually is the full moon in Capricorn, which occurs on July 4th or 5th, depending on where you are on the planet. July 4th at 12:31 a.m. So it'll be July 5th here where I'm at in Jacksonville, Florida. But if you're on the West Coast, it will be July 4th. And you can see here that the sun is in Cancer. The moon is sitting across the sky in Capricorn. And this is going to be a time of many planets revisiting this Capricorn area of our chart and of our world. And this is really potent because I'm sure many of you can feel it playing out, that these planets of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. Remember, Saturn was in Aquarius and it has retrograded back into Capricorn. Pluto has been in Capricorn, Jupiter is in Capricorn, and now the moon, this full moon, is being illuminated by this Cancerian sun here at this third lunar eclipse. So this is a really potent energy around where in our Capricorn energies of our world is all of this energy playing out. And if you remember back in January of this year, we had a lot of energy around goals, work, career, but it was this tug of war, right, between where is it in our life that we were feeling compelled to make decisions about our world, make decisions about our career, our goals. Where is it that you were trying to climb the ladder, if you will, of life or your own goals, but you just didn't feel like you could make any traction? A lot of this pandemic themes, everything that is going on around politics, these type of energies are all going to relive and replay themselves during this season. And I want to show you, if I can on my pad, I can show you actually where the chart is for this full moon, because I think what's interesting, I'm going to try and get not the glare on there, but What I think is interesting is we have a lot of planets up here. You can see Capricorn, and here's the moon, here's Jupiter. We have moving over here, and we have Saturn, but then it's all across here to the sun. So you can see the sun and the moon are conjuncting, and here is the moon. The moon rules Cancer, but remember the sun is in Cancer and the moon is actually across the sky in Capricorn. And the moon actually doesn't like being in Capricorn. Like, it doesn't have enough energy or enough life force, if you will, over here in Capricorn. And so there's going to be this tug of war, because usually the moon, when it is in its home sign of Cancer, it feels very loving, warm, energized. So when we had that new moon before in Cancer, you probably had more themes around family, children, things that were maybe coming up in your life that were more centered around security and how to keep yourself safe. But now that the moon is across the sky in Capricorn, there's going to be this tug of war, because we're now entering the last Capricorn full moon of this 18-month cycle. So remember, eclipses usually occur in 18-month cycles. The last 18 months, we have been on a Capricorn Cancer eclipse cycle. And so I actually made a playlist on Scorpio soul time. If you look in the playlist, you'll find one that is called Eclipses. And I went back all the way to July of 2019. That is showcasing, if you will, the different eclipses that we've had in July. And then we had the next set of them in December and January. And then of course now we're in this third season. So for about 18 months, I want you to look back and figure out where Capricorn and Cancer has played out in your life. And I invite you to watch those videos to see what themes have reoccurred in your life, because we really are coming to a closing point for the full moon in Capricorn here. And so I want you to think that full moons usually are a culmination, or they're a time of completion. And I pulled out the Devil card of the tarot for this Capricorn time, because we really are, I think this really symbolizes, even though it's a little scary with, of course, this devil here looking over us, entrapped in this cage. The door is actually open. So while he feels like he's encaged and he's like more lost in his own thoughts of that he's entrapped, he really could step out at any time. And so what the Devil card is really trying to symbolize is that you are feeling like you are a slave to your own thoughts, to your own beliefs. You're too much in your head. You're too much in this what do I do now? What if this happens? Capricorn is really very much goal oriented, and it wants you to make a plan, make goals, then carry them out. And then if you don't carry them out in the time period that you wanted to, you start getting wrapped up in this, like, I wish I could have done this, I wish I could have done that. So this Capricornian energy is very strong, as you could see on the astrological plane. You can see that the Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and the moon are all sitting in this part of the sky. So this lunar eclipse is going to be probably very strong for most of us, just depending on where it plays out. But since this is the third eclipse, and like I said, this is the final the final Capricornian eclipse of this 18-month cycle, we're definitely going to be feeling like what has unfolded over these last 18 months. And remember, Cancer is a sign of wanting balance of comfort, family, children. So there's going to be this theme of home versus work, right? And I think that many of us have felt it over, at least, since this pandemic has started, where we have felt like there's this tug of war, if you will, between, whether you can work from home, whether, you have a comfortable lifestyle where you're able to work from home, or are you being demanded to come in and work because of course the economy still has to keep going? And you can see this playing out in the collective, where people are feeling like they're tired of being stuck at home, they just want to get out. But then there's this kind of like theme of, okay, well, do we get out now? Is it safe to get out? And then we feel like, you know, now that Mercury, of course, is still in retrograde, we don't feel like we're getting all the information that we want to be able to make informed decisions. We are feeling like, you know, are we getting all the facts? Are we getting all the information? And I think this Capricornian energy is going to bring back those themes back in January and February, when, you know, we didn't really know about, you know, the collective didn't really know about, you know, COVID-19 until about March. So it's kind of like there's this continual theme of, do we really know what the government's doing? Do we really know if we're getting all of the facts? So I want you to think back to January, February of this year, because I have a feeling that you're going to see reoccurring themes in your own life regarding balance of comfort, family, children, an agenda, if you will, with the whole Capricornian energy. Like, is there a bigger agenda playing out, whether it's in your career, at your work? And today we're going to do a past, present, and future spread. And then I'm going to do some clarifiers with these two Rider-Waite decks. And this deck that I'm going to use now actually is Ciro Marchetti's Tarot of Dreams deck. And I like this deck because it definitely has interesting themes, as you could tell by that Devil card. There definitely is some themes of a little different from the Rider-Waite deck. So I like to use it just to mix it up a bit. Okay, so we had so there's the Sun card. So we have the Sun card in reverse. So there's the Sun. And I like how it's depicted here with, it's almost like Apollo is holding the sun, and then you can see all the planets around it. So this is a very positive card to fly out, but of course it was in reverse, and of course the sun is ruled by the sun. So I think that it's very interesting that that flew out, because there's this strong theme of, since the sun is sitting in Cancer, there's almost this theme of like, you have the strength, or you're going to be able to gain strength, but it might take some time to get there. It might take a little more energy to get there. So very interesting that that flew out today. So let's put that here. All right, so let's think through, what is it in this last Capricornian full moon lunar eclipse do we want to know on July 5th? Where is it in our world that we need more clarification? What themes around work-life balance, whether it's dealing with your home, it's dealing with a job, maybe you've unemployed during this time and you're looking for a job. Think back 18 months ago. Are you needing to start a new cycle? Because remember, we just had that Sagittarius new moon that is starting off a new eclipse cycle. So there definitely could be some forward energy, because Mars actually is moving into Aries. Let's see, Mars moved into Aries on June 27th. So by the time you're listening to this video, I'm recording this on June 27th actually, so it moves in today. There's another jumper. We have Two of Swords in reverse. And Two of Swords means there is some energy of clarity, that you're not quite sure which way to choose. You're not quite sure which way to move forward. And with it being in reverse, this definitely is an energy of clarity not coming to us when we would like it to. So I'm going to put that down as a jumper, and we'll move these up here. We already have the Two of Swords and the Sun jump out in reverse. So, like I was saying, with the Mars moves into Aries in June 27th. And so it literally will be in Aries for 6 months. And so Mars is this energy of wanting to move forward, have forward movement, but also like that warrior. Mars actually rules anything dealing with war, conflict. So you're going to see more of this conflict energy. You know, Mars, the higher vibration of Mars is being able to get things done, setting goals. So that's kind of like right along with that Capricornian energy, wanting to move forward. But remember, Capricorn is an earth sign, so it's more grounded, while Mars is a fire sign. So there's more of that fiery, robust, you know, wanting to take action, wanting to take change. But then there's also like this, the negative side of Mars is, well, you might be doing stuff too hastily. You might not be thinking through things. You might be too quick to just jump at anything that comes your way. So make sure you're thinking of that, because between now and the next January, we will be having Mars in Aries, because it will retrograde part of those months and then it will go forward. So 6 months with Mars in one sign is not usual. And with Mars being the ruler of Aries, we're going to see a lot of this like young, get up and fiery energy, and a lot of it is going to be hasty energy. And we are seeing a lot of that playing out in the collective, in the news. You know, everyone wants to jump on a story. Everyone wants to like get up and just run with everything before they have all the facts. So keep that in mind as we're going through these next 6 months. All right, so in the past, I see the Ten of Wands in reverse. In the middle, I see Six of Swords in reverse. And I see the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So anytime I get all the cards in reverse, I actually turn them right side up, because that makes me think that the energies are more in line with, there's a disconnect, if you will, and I'll explain that as we go. So past is Ten of Wands. I'm going to turn it right side up. Six of Swords is our present. 10. So we actually have the Wheel of Fortune in the future. And then I'm going to turn these right side up, and I'll explain to you why I'm doing that. So anytime I get all the cards in reverse, to me that signifies that the energies are one, that we have a rub, or there is a resistance to be able to accomplish what we want to accomplish. So instead of reading them all upside down, I like to read them right side up, and then remember at the end that it really is a tension, or it's not going to be as easy to accomplish these things as we think. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but I'll try to explain it as we go. All right, so in the past, I see 10 of Wands. And the 10 of Wands is this Sagittarian energy. It's the ending of a cycle. And the 10 of Wands in the Rider-Waite deck usually signifies you have finished a long battle with something. You have, you know, you're worn out. You can't take anymore. You can see here this man is like crouched over, like he's just through, like he can't take anymore. And so with this being the Sagittarian energy, there is this kind of culmination feeling of like, you know, like a deep sigh, like you're done. That fiery part of you is maybe not ready to keep battling what you've been battling, and you're ready to move forward. With it being in reverse, I'm almost taking this as you thought you were done with something, but you're really not. I have this, I'm hearing like, you want the war to be over, but you're still battling. And I think that that's kind of like the case with all of us right now in the collective, right? You were hoping that for example, the pandemic was over. You were hoping that we were having forward momentum as, you know, different municipalities started opening up. But of course, now the numbers are rising and you're starting to, you know, get anxious. You were hoping that you were finished. And so I feel like this Ten of Wands in reverse is definitely a signal of like, you're almost there, but you're not there yet. Like you still have more fighting to go. So that's what I feel like with the Ten of Wands in reverse in the past. In the present is the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords, usually in the Rider-Waite deck, is a person who is moving away from some type of conflict or something in their past, and they have two other people in the boat and they are moving forward, hopefully towards something more positive. So this Six of Swords here, though, you can see that there's this almost like this dark figure, and he has his boat, like I said, but he has a light where he's almost like moving towards something more positive, moving away from the past. Now, what I think is interesting with this card is that since we can actually see the front of this person, in the Rider-Waite deck, you usually only see the back of the figures, meaning like they're moving away. This almost makes me feel like we're moving towards something that we hope to shine a light on. But remember, since this was in reverse, there's still like that angst. There's still that, there's still this energy of not being able to make the traction that we want to. And so I think that with it being in the present, this is very indicative of us trying to move to this next goal, if you will. I keep hearing moving on from, but not being able to get there. So it's kind of like similar to how this Ten of Wands is. You thought you were finished, you thought you were complete with a cycle, but you're still not there. And with this Six of Swords, since swords have to do with clarity, have to do with mental awareness, you almost feel like with this Six of Swords that you're trying to move towards something. You're trying to get this clarity. You're trying to get more illumination. But remember I said that the sun being, I meant to say the moon being in this Capricornian energy, I think there's going to be this angst of like you trying to make traction, you're trying to make goals, you're trying to move forward in something that you started back in January of that Capricornian season, but you still just can't get there yet. I am happy to see that the Wheel of Fortune, though, is in the future. So the 10, and I like it in this deck because usually it shows this wheel and it has, you know, the eagle, it has the 4 fixed astrological signs. This one is very interesting to me because I like how it shows almost like this Jupiterian feeling of like you just have to put in a little extra luck, if you will, like you're waiting for some luck to like move into the right spot before it almost like opens up your future, if you will. But with this being in the reverse, I'm not really hearing it as negative fortune or, you know, bad luck. I'm more hearing it's going to take a little extra time, but it also may require you to put in more effort, more patience. I'm almost feeling like there's this sense of just waiting on fortune or luck alone is not going to be enough. And so you're really going to need to work with your inner guide, work with your spirits, work with your angels, because there's almost like this sense of you can have the good luck in the future. You can have maybe some fortuitous events happen to you, but you're going to have to get through the present and the past before you're even like enlightened to what these are. Does that make sense? So I'm almost feeling like we're being given little clues, especially with this Sun card. you're feeling like there is a momentum, but since all of these were reversed before, it's almost like the momentum keeps being stifled. It's almost like your little breadcrumbs, if you will, are being dropped for you for the future. But there's just so much energy. I mean, remember, we have like 6 planets retrograde right now. So Venus did just go direct, but we have all those other planets that are in Capricorn, that are in retrograde. So we just have a lot of energy around stagnation, things not moving at the pace we would like to. And I really feel like that's why everything came out in reverse here, because there's a stagnation or a lagging of information. Remember, Mercury is still retrograde and will stay retrograde until July 12th. So at the time of this full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn, you have a lot of this energy which just is not, it's not clear. It's not, you know, as cut and dry as we would like to or like to have. So I'm going to pull some clarifiers on these 3 cards and just see, like, how does this Wheel of Fortune, this 6 of Swords, and this 10 of Wands play out in our future. Okay, so I took and moved our 2 jumper cards over here to the side so we have plenty of space. We're going to move our amethyst crystal. I always like to try and hold a crystal in my hand for a few minutes as I'm right before I do a reading or between the readings. It feels like it kind of clears your energy and also clears the energy of the deck. So let's pull some cards and some clarity cards around the 10 of Wands in the past, the 6 of Swords in the present, and the Wheel of Fortune in the future. All right, so all right, so there's already some cards, and look at there. We got the Wheel of Fortune and we got the King of Wands. So I'm gonna just put those over here and we'll talk about those in a minute. So let's think through what it is we want to know about the 10 of Wands. Why is the 10 of Wands here? How is the 10 of Wands going to impact us? What information do we need to know from the 10 of Wands? All right, so I got Page of Swords. It's always interesting that my cards always come out upside down. I think that's very interesting. So Page of Swords I got for the 10 of Wands. For the 6 of Swords in the present, let's see what we get there. 10 of Pentacles. Nice to see that that is in the upright position. So we've gotten 3 10s on the ground. So we have 4 10s on the ground. So that definitely means endings. Things are coming to culmination at this full moon, which makes sense because full moons usually are about completions, cycles ending, new cycles beginning. So let's see what we got here for the 10 Major Arcana Wheel of Fortune. And we have 2 of Cups. All right. So what I'm already feeling here is, since we got this Wheel of Fortune as a jumper card, and we also had the Wheel of Fortune over here in the future, to me this signifies there is a completion of cycles. We are actually going through a period right now that, since we are ending this last full moon eclipse in Capricorn, there is this energy of you're going to get information, answers, themes that have come around before. Remember I said those 18 months that we just went through, that last cycle of eclipses? I want you to look back in that playlist, because I have a feeling that there's been some clues dropped along the way for each of us with these Wheel of Fortunes. There's something in the past and there's something in the future that is going to be very fortuitous for many of us. For some of us, we're going to perceive it as obstacles or bad luck, but it's actually going to serve us. That's what I'm hearing with these Wheel of Fortune. So anytime you get a Wheel of Fortune in your reading, I look at it as ups and downs, ebb and flows, but everything can serve you in time. It might not look like a blessing right now, but it's going to serve you. So I think that that's really good to see with the Wheel of Fortune in the future, and then our jumper card. And like I said, we have plenty of tens, so we're gonna be closing down cycles. And remember, 10 also in numerology breaks down to 1, which is the Magician. So once again, this energy of being able to start anew, being able to have more control over our lives. I really feel like this Capricorn full moon eclipse is going to be this culmination of us really getting more clarity over maybe themes in our life that we weren't clear on for these last 18 months. So with the Page of Swords with the Page of Swords, remember, pages usually have to do with young energy, and it also has to do with swords being clarity. There may be messages coming in for you that you don't realize right now, but maybe they start coming to you as we move through these next 6 months. With it coupled with the Ten of Wands, there's almost a feeling of what you thought was almost finished. Maybe you look back, and even though you're worn out and you're tired, I have this feeling that in this next Sagittarian, remember, we're now moving into Sagittarius and Gemini eclipse seasons for the next 18 months. So I'm almost feeling like there's going to be information and new messages that come in these next 18 months from the past that are now making sense to you. Remember, these were both in reverse. So it's almost like there's a feeling of what felt like was coming to a close. Maybe one cycle of it is coming to a close, but now you're entering into a new cycle in terms of clarity, information, but it's going to take time to come out. That's what I'm hearing. It's not going to be quick and dirty. It's definitely going to take time. It's going to be stretched out. And with this card being in the past, the Ten of Wands, there's this feeling of you started something, but you're still not done with it. You're still going to have themes come through during these next 18 months with that Gemini, Sagittarius eclipses coming in the future. So just know that little bits of information are coming, but you're just going to have to be patient, and you're just going to have to work through the messages that you receive. In the present, we got the Ten of Pentacles. I think it's always interesting because I think we get like the Ten of Pentacles at least each time we do. I think these last few readings, the last eclipse, I think we got a Ten of Pentacles, and I believe the one before that, these last 3 eclipse readings, look at those and see, I'm pretty sure we got the Ten of Pentacles, which is a very positive sign, because I feel like there is this sense of we're trying to move away from something mentally with that Six of Swords, but this Ten of Pentacles is almost like this reassurance, like, don't think that all is for naught. Like, don't feel like just because you've been trying to move away from something and maybe you felt like you weren't successful, since that was in the reverse, there is this sense that the universe is trying to help us, is trying to give us a little more information, trying to let you know that your family, your home, because remember the Ten of Pentacles have to do with earthly possessions. And this card is always kind of like the generations card, because you see the grandfather, the mom, dad, the kids, the dogs. It's like that Cancerian energy of where the sun is sitting. It's almost like the sun is saying, you know what? Keep moving through these themes, keep being patient, even though you're trying to move away what feels like you're not being successful, it's going to turn out in the long run. You're going to have like these seeds of growth and these seeds of planting, you know, money, resources, your home. It just feels like it's going to start clicking into place. I just heard that clicking into place. And so I feel like this is very indicative of the sun and Cancer, because I feel like the sun in Cancer is like really solidifying that your family is going to be okay. You might have to move. I've been getting this Six of Swords in my own personal readings too, about themes of where you have been. You may be done there. You might not be able to still stay in the same home. You might not be able to stay in the same job. You might not be able to, your family is probably taking on new dynamics now that we're all in a different place than we were just 2-3 months ago, let alone back to, 18 months ago. So I think that this is really this sense of like being able to move away from what felt like was secure and maybe moving into a new way of being with our family, looking at how our family adapts as we move forward. So I really like this Ten of Pentacles in the present, because I think that this is that reassurance from the universe that we're on the right track. You're going to have to move away from maybe things that weren't so comfortable in the past, but feel confident. I feel like that's what the theme here is, like there is a confidence level that we can all feel. And I forgot to do this King of Wands that had flown out. So remember the King of Wands, he is more the diplomat, if you will, in the deck. I feel like he is that king that has the passion and the drive. And since he is ruler of the fire energy, he definitely is like that willpower. What is it that you're trying to get traction on but maybe hasn't? The King of Wands to me is signifying that there is this energy around us that's trying to get us to relive or re-establish, if you will, that willpower. But with it in reverse, I'm also sensing that it's kind of piggybacking off of this Ten of Wands, right? It's that fire energy that we still are like, we're tired. We don't feel like we have the momentum. And so with this King of Wands, I'm almost feeling like there might be either some kind of fire sign in your life, a Sagittarius, a Leo, or an Aries that are possibly trying to come back in your life. I'm kind of hearing that, like there might be this energy, and that might have to do with the past too. I'm almost hearing like the Ten of Wands and this King of Wands both in reverse. There may be people that come back into your life that you need to get clarity around. Something right there, and we'll clarify that with those other cards, because I'm almost hearing like maybe there's people from your past that are either fiery energy, or they're making you feel like you're just tired and want to move on. There's something there, I feel like, that is kind of like reliving, rehashing something that you don't have all the clarity from, but you've been trying to move on with your family. That's what I'm getting right here. All right, and in the future, we already talked about the Wheel of Fortune, and it actually obviously has come up twice. So I'm actually going to put the Wheel of Fortune with this Wheel of Fortune, because I think it's interesting how the cards are like mimicking themselves. And with this Two of Cups in the future, I'm hearing partnerships, but partnerships with those that you trust. That's what I just heard. So for many of you, these Wheel of Fortunes could mean that, like I said, there are seeds that are maybe going to fruition. Maybe there is fortuitous events that are coming up. But then I also hear, be careful who you partner with. Be careful what new alliances you make. Because remember, the Wheel of Fortune can be, you know, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. So this to me is almost sounding like, think twice before you just partner with anyone. This could mean, you know, anyone who's getting into a relationship. We're going to do some clarifiers on that, because I'm wondering, does this mean more of your home life? Does this mean like if you're in business relationships? And with us having those two Wheel of Fortunes, I'm concerned that it could also signify that you could be being, maybe you're being led in the wrong direction by someone. So let's do our third deck of clarifiers with another Rider-Waite deck. Because there also is this energy to me as we go into this last lunar eclipse, is there's this feeling of we all have made sacrifices, if you will, whether it's your job, your family, your personal health, you know, how we communicate with people, how we interact with people. There's this almost like this air of like distrust in the air, and I'm sure everyone can feel it. It's like there's this uneasiness even when you go to work, if you're still having to go to work and you're having to, you know, be around people, or if you're still going to the grocery store. I mean, the reality is most municipalities are back open, right? And so there's this feeling of, some people feel like, okay, everything's great, and they're just like kind of like business as usual. Other people are like, the numbers are up, I'm not trying to go out, I'm only going out for what I have to. And so I'm almost feeling like there's this energy of some people are trying to move on, but the universe is kind of saying it's not over. Like, some of you are feeling like we're on the upside, some of you are on the downside, and it's almost like there's this sense of like, how can we get this sun energy, how can we get this King of Wands energy to feel more certain of our future? But we're not really feeling certain, because it's like this Wheel of Fortune is like, be careful, don't be too hasty, don't think that you have it all figured out. Even though there's this theme of like, hopefully things will work out in our family life, I feel like there's like this uncertainty with this Two of Cups, because the Two of Cups also have to do with emotional energy. And so I'm almost wondering if any of you are in a romantic relationship, or you all are possibly trying to make new alliances with people at work. There's just something that's a little off, like almost like there's, like I said, this Two of Swords, it's almost like you're not quite sure. You're just kind of like, I don't really feel super confident. And I mean, that makes sense with our climate right now. Like, how many people really feel confident about anything? Like, our world has been turned upside down. So I think that it makes sense that we're not really all that certain. So I want to just do 3 more clarifiers for the Ten of Wands in the past, Six of Swords in the present, and of course the Wheel of Fortune for the future. All right, I'll cut the deck. All right, so for the Ten of Wands in the future, I get the Seven of Swords, which often is called the Thief card, like someone is trying to take something from you. Find that interesting with this Page of Swords. So we'll look at that. Then let's look at the present, clarifying the Six of Swords and Ten of Pentacles. And for many of you who made your intention at the beginning of this reading to you know, think about themes that have affected you in these last 18 months. As I'm talking, try to see if any of this resonates with, you know, themes that you've seen in your personal life. All right. All right, so there is the Nine of Swords in the middle, or in the present. And I think that this makes a lot of sense. As I was saying, we're not sure. Remember, I was just saying there's this theme of us not really feeling very confident. That's exactly what I was talking about. Maybe many of you are not sleeping, you're stressed out. That totally makes sense in the present. So you can see that there's a lot of heaviness going on here. We haven't really gotten a lot of like happy cards, have we? We got the Sun, but of course that was in reverse. And then we got the Wheel of Fortunes and the Ten of Pentacles. So we've had some positive cards, but the cards all around them are not making me feel like this is going to be a smooth full moon lunar eclipse here. So in the future, we are clarifying those two Wheel of Fortunes and the Two of Cups. And we have the King of Swords. The King of Swords in reverse. I just heard flip over the bottom, and we have the Three of Wands. So what I'm feeling here is, in the past, there definitely is this feeling of, with the Seven of Swords, what I always find interesting about the Seven of Swords is this person has these 5 swords, but he's leaving 2 behind, almost like he's escaping with whatever possessions someone else had. So the Thief card can mean you're taking advantage of someone, or someone is taking advantage of you. And I think that that's interesting with the Page of Swords and the Ten of Wands, because there's almost this feeling of, you tried to think that you were trying to get through things thinking they were done, but the Page of Swords is telling you that information is not all available yet. But this Seven of Swords to me is saying someone is deceiving you, or you're trying to get away with something, and that's the reason why you're not done. You still have things to do. There still is clarity that needs to be found out. And if you're the one trying to deceive someone, this is not the time to try and get your stuff together. Does that make sense? Like, and remember, this is in the past. So this could be, you may know exactly what I'm talking about. You may know that there's been people in your life that have not been for your betterment, for your greater good. You may know that you thought you were done with something, but themes kept reoccurring. So I think that you already know, and if you don't know, I guarantee you they're going to present themselves probably in these next 6 months of possible themes of people around you not for your highest good. And you may be that person. So, I mean, think through it too. It's not always someone doing something to you. You could be doing something to someone else. In the present, with this Nine of Swords, as I said, I think that this is just very indicative right now of our times. I think the Nine of Swords, often called like the 3 a.m. card, where you wake up in a sweat, you're worried, you just feel like you don't know, you might have problems with your health, your work, your family. You're just stressed out about the pandemic, around, the social injustice, the political climate. I mean, there's a lot right now going on. And so I think that with the Ten of Pentacles and the Six of Swords in the past, there is this, I thought that this felt like a more positive side of the Six of Swords, meaning your family life and you trying to move away from something. There's this feeling like you're so worried that you can't get to this Ten of Pentacles. Does that make sense? Like, you're trying so hard to just like fix things, but it just feels like you can't get the traction you need. And I think that that's going to be just the theme going through July and these next 6 months, because there's just so much uncertainty. But there is this positive feeling, like there are pockets of, especially with the Cancerian sun, there are these like pockets of, you don't have to worry all the time. Just do what you can do day by day, and don't worry about the full picture. Don't try to go 20 miles into the future trying to figure out what you're going to do in, November. Don't try to plan Thanksgiving right now with the family. Don't try to like already have it all worked out, because this Two of Wands over here coming out in reverse, it's like you want to make a plan. Just like the King of Wands, you want to have this passionate, like, yeah, we're going to get things going. But remember, we don't have enough answers, y'all. We do not have enough answers. And I think that that's where these two Wheel of Fortunes come in. There are going to be times of great fortune for some, but there's going to be times of not the best fortune for others. And so with this King of Swords in reverse, there's this feeling of, you want to have the clarity, you want to be able to make decisions quickly, but it's in reverse. And it's in reverse with the Two of Cups and those two Wheel of Fortunes. So guys, you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to think through what you're doing. You're going to have to realize that anything that comes to you, be patient, think through it. You're not going to be able to have all the clarity right now. You might have this also King of Swords. You could have air energy like an Aquarius, Gemini, or Virgo coming in trying to, or is it Libra? Libra. One of those signs could be indicative of this King of Swords, meaning like these people in your life could be trying to bring clarity, but you're just not able to get there because you're trying to figure out what unions are trying to happen, what new people might be coming into your life. I'm telling you, these Wheel of Fortunes to me are kind of signifying this whole lunar eclipse. Everything's gonna go up, everything must come down. There's just this kind of like uneasy feeling to me of, we're not out of the woods yet. That's what I just heard. Like there is this like sense of, don't get too wrapped up into outcomes. Don't feel like you have to know where, the next, just kind of like put one step, one foot in front of the other, to get through these next 6 months, because there definitely is this resurgence of energy now with all of these planets in Capricorn, and it can be uneasy feeling at times. But I do think that there are these glimpses or shimmers of hope, if you will. I feel like those 10 of Pentacles, the Sun card, and the Wheel of Fortunes, to me, there is this feeling of, you're going to have times of great fortitude. I think we all are. I think we're going to come into this place where we might start feeling like we're gaining traction, but I just don't think we're going to be at that time of being able to make sweeping decisions all right now. We're not going to be able to plan 6 to 8 months in the future. We're just not at that time anymore. We used, 6 months ago, you could have said, I'm going to plan a trip for Thanksgiving and go visit my in-laws across the country. Like, you can't even do that right now. And so I feel like there's this energy of like, be careful, take it easy. Like, you do not need to have the answers right now, but I think that, as we move into July and move into Leo season, hopefully when Mercury retrograde Mercury retrograde ends on July 12th. So it will take about another 2 to 3 weeks to come out of its shadow. So once we get to August, it will be interesting to see how the astrology and the cards play out then. because while we're still going to be underneath of this, you know, ecliptic energy, because they all last for at least 6 months, I definitely think more clarity will be brought out at that time. It'll be when, you know, most of us are, if you have school age children like I do, will be coming into more clarity about what does the fall look like for the schools. You know, what does it look like? You know, we're going to be moving into this deeper energy with the political climate. Like, there's just too much going on, as well as the pandemic, the social injustices. I mean, there's just a lot. So I do appreciate you all joining me. I'm going through all of this with you all, so it's interesting to see how it plays out. I do appreciate every time you join me on Scorpio Soul Time, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and I will talk to you later. Please subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.